Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Coalition's new member webinar. There is just a couple of you here. We know scheduling is really challenging for everyone. So we also are live streaming this on Facebook and recording it that we'll share later. So I thought maybe we should start with introductions. Just of the coalition staff and of those of you who are here. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute so we can see everyone. I'm Linda Norris, Senior Specialist for Methodology and Practice at the coalition. And I'm going to pass it to Ashley, and then you keep passing to the rest of staff. We'll go there.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm so delighted to be here. I'm Ashley Nelson. I'm the Communications Director. And I am lucky enough to get to work with members every day and help promoting their work. So hopefully we'll get to know each other quite well. And my partner in crime is Camilla, so I'll hand it off to her.
Thanks so much, Ashley, and hi, everyone. My name is Camila Yangsawano, and I'm the Communications Associate at the Coalition. We're going to be talking a little bit more in detail about what we do at COMS, but I'm really happy to be here. I'm going to pass it on to Stefania.
Hi, everyone. I'm Estefania. If you have recently done the membership application process, you've probably seen my name in the email mix there. I'm an administrative assistant, and I work with both methodology and practice, which is Linda and Braden. And then I also work closely with our executive director, Elizabeth Silks. And I will pass it on to Gigi.
Thank you, Estefania. Hi, everyone. My name is Gigi Lemmy-Joseph. I am the Senior Program Manager for Africa, Latin America, and the Caribbean at the Coalition. I know some of you. Hi, Francoise. Hi, nice to see you after such a long time. And I'm very happy to walk you through what we do and speak a little bit about global programs. And I'll hand it over to Justine.
Thank you, Gigi. Hello, everyone. I'm Justine Di Maio. I'm the program manager for Europe and the MENA region. And I'm working closely with Gigi and with Sylvia and Elena. And I'm very happy to be here. And I will be presenting the work of the two regions, MENA and Europe, in a few minutes. Is there anyone else I should pass on the...
I think you got all the staff. Thanks to our interpreters. There's also French if people need it. Francois, can you introduce yourself? And then Aaron, so everybody can get to know you.
Hi, I'm Francoise Clafferty. I'm Head of Partnerships at National Museums Liverpool. Great to be here, great to see faces, great to see you again, Justine. We saw each other in person. We attended our first European meeting in Derry last week, which was great, a great introduction to be part and new members. So looking forward to hearing more. So am I passing on to Erin, is it?
Yeah, Erin, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. I'm Erin Halloran, and I'm with Delaware Water Gap National Recreation Area, and we're a National Park Service site that's located in both New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And I have a terrible internet connection, so hopefully you're hearing this.
Yes, we absolutely hear you. So great. So what we'll do today, and you'll hear from a lot of us, is share kind of what we do, ways for you to become more involved, and just some comms tips and other things. So just as a reminder, we're so happy to have you. A reminder that there's not very many of you, so we know, and Erin has learned to turn her camera off if there's a connectivity issue, all of that. There is French available if that's needed. A little bit of a reminder about the coalition itself and its founding. We're now more than 20 years old, and founded with the idea by Ruth Abram, who founded the Tenement Museum in New York City. The idea that museums and historic sites have a place to play in creating a more just future. And we're now more than 300 members in 65 countries, everywhere in the world. As you can see, well, not everywhere, as you can see, we've not yet gotten to the gray parts on our map, but we're working on it. And so the idea that you're a part of a global network is we hear from our members, one of the most important parts of it, that there's a chance to learn from everyone's experiences across the world. There's nobody here who's not yet a member, but sometimes in these welcome webinars, we have people who are not yet members. So if you or anybody you know is interested in becoming a member, here's where you go to find out more, or you just contact any of us and we can tell you. Here's our new members from the last 6 months. We do these welcome webinars every 6 months. And as you can see, it's an incredibly diverse group of members from large museums like Liverpool and like the French Museum of Immigration. There are smaller emerging sites in the Democratic Republic of the Congo addressing peace issues. We have 2 sites in the US that are sites, former Ku Klux Klan meeting halls. So that's a particular thing. And then as well, like an archive in Sierra Leone. So it's really an amazing mix of members that you've now become a part of. So we're so happy to have you all here. As members, you share, and we ask you to sign 4 key principles that animate our work. So even though the work of every member is different, these are things that animate and shape your work and our work together. The first is interpret history through sight. And that sight is a broad definition. Sometimes it's a single specific place, even a single specific building. Other times it's a broader place. In some cases, for instance, the Kigali Genocide Museum in Rwanda, it's an entire country. And we also know that some of our members, particularly in places, are not able to actually do the work at the site that they're concerned about. Our members who are working on Syria are, for instance, not in Syria. They're working outside the country, but they're still working on site. They engage the public in programs, that's a broad umbrella of programs, that stimulate dialogue on pressing social issues. So sites that are purely memorials with no future looking sense are a little bit different than what sites of conscience do. We share opportunities for public involvement and positive action on issues raised at the site. The shorthand term for that for us is memory to action. And lastly, that all our members promote justice and universal cultures of human rights. And that's really the operating force. And I will say that as you read this and you might kind of think, do we do all this? These are things that members aspire and are working towards. Everyone's at a different spot. Each organization is at a different spot on the continuum of these principles. And our goal is to help all of you work towards these. So no panicking if you feel like you're not quite there yet. Just a little bit about who we are as department. You hear from different people at different times. Administration and operations, our finance team, Liz Silks, our director. Communications team, you just met Ashley and Camilla. Our development team, which is grant writing and fundraising, which is also a 2-person team. Methodology and practice, Stefania and I and our colleague Braden Painter. Global networks, JJ and Justine, as well as Sylvia and Elena, and the Global Initiative for Truth, Justice, and Reconciliation, which is a larger project of the coalition with a lot of staff. I'm not going to tell you the names of because there's a lot of them who are working quite specifically in conflict and post-conflict countries on a whole range of issues. So that's kind of when you see different things about the coalition. These are the basics of who we are. I think we're about 22 staff members right now in 5 countries around the world. So one result of the pandemic, honestly, has meant that we have decentralized our work, which is terrific. JJ, I'm going to pass over global networks for you.
Thank you, Linda. So as you can see, I don't need to read the numbers on the screen. Actually, some of these have gone up a little bit. We, as a network that is 300 plus organizations around the world within the diversity that Linda was mapping out, one way that the coalition has worked and organized its work so it can be meaningfully engaging with each region and also promote meaningful engagement between members was to work within regional networks. So the work within the regions has been going for as long as the coalition has been established, as it started to grow. And these are very dynamic and well-established networks of regional members that now know each other very well, that work together toward common goals and have shared contexts in which it sometimes is easier to work to certain issues and certain topics that are relevant to a certain region or context, or it's easier for them to relate to each other in that way. Here's the next slide, please. Okay. Thanks, Linda. Okay, so I think.
Sorry, JJ, I forgot I was the
Okay,
slide
don't worry.
person.
Don't worry. It's a different software I can see you're using this time. So I will speak of the regions with Justine. Each one of us will speak about our regions. I can also give a quick overview about Sylvia's region. So we have over the last 2 years worked with each one of the regions to develop their own strategic plans and their goals and their areas of focus. So in terms of Africa, they want to build, that's kind of the vision that they have, to build resilient democracies, accountability and inclusion, dialogue and social cohesion, harmony, human dignity, and peace. So these are areas of focus that they feel that it's important to work between now and 2024. Their main communities of focus were migrants, victims of atrocity, women and girls, and youth. So Africa specifically at the moment is working on a project towards building cultures of peace. A lot of the countries in our network and throughout the region are still undergoing conflict or have recently emerged from conflict situations. And they feel that, the imminence of violence, conflict, or atrocity is still very present in their lives. And they need to somehow start working from the ground up to build cultures of peace. So we're talking about a project that will look into using art and communication to establish narratives at grassroots that tell what's going on in the different regions of the sub-regions of Africa. And that becomes then a tool that we can use to advocate at higher levels in terms of government or multilateral organizations to raise awareness of what's happening on the ground, because sometimes the world is not entirely aware of the difficulties that are happening, both with communities. And another aspect of this project also is promoting protection toward to peace defenders who are facing very, very serious risks and retaliation situations also in the region. So this is one project that is in the making right now. We're working on it, and we'll be working on it probably over the next 2 years or so. Asia is a region that Sylvia, the director of the Global Networks Program, she manages Asia. I will just briefly talk about their areas of focus from the strategic plan, which is to focus on equity and inclusion, respect for diversity, access to human rights and justice, and a prevention of hatred and violent conflict. So the issue of hatred and fighting hate speech, combating hate speech is a big thread across our regions, and you see that in other regions too. Also intending to work with migrants, youth, persons with disabilities, women and girls. And then I'll hand it over to Justine to talk about Europe.
Thank you, Gigi. So Europe has been going through the same process than the other region, and we developed a strategic plan last year. So the focus of the strategy for Europe is working toward a peaceful society, embracing diversity, human rights and accountability, countering revisionism, disinformation and hate speech. And sorry, I lost the Canva. Linda, you are muted.
Linda, you are muted.
It's okay. I can continue. Okay. So Europe will be also, so the European network will also be working around, so as part of countering racism and xenophobia, we'll explore the relationship between memory, heritage, and the migration phenomenon. There is also an ongoing project in the region, which is a partnership with the Lilliput Network, which is a network of Italian museums. And we are partnering with this network to engage 3 sites of conscience in Europe in piloting a new methodology for European sites of conscience to effectively engage families and children in their programming. And as mentioned by Françoise from the Liverpool Museum, we had last week our regional meeting in Derry, Northern Ireland, on the occasion of the 50th anniversary of for the commemoration of the Bloody Sunday. So this is for Europe. JJ will continue with the MENA region. The MENA members in the coming 3 years will be focusing on fighting impunity and fostering justice and accountability. And they will be also working on hate speech. And one priority of the network is also to be working with youth and engaging youth in memorialization efforts. One of the main projects that is ongoing in the MENA region is the MENA mapping project called Damiruna in Arabic. This project was started a few years ago to document political repression around across the MENA region and to fight impunity and pursue accountability. A digital map was developed with the participation of 16 members from the MENA region in 10 different countries of the region. And the map includes information about different sites of conscience in the region, including photos, reports, and testimonies of victims. And it is being used as a tool to engage communities on initiatives to combat impunity. So all the members who participated in this project organized last summer community mobilization activities to present the map and to engage their communities in a discussion around the fight against impunity. JJ?
Yeah, okay, thank you, Justina. And lastly, in terms of our regional networks, Latin America and the Caribbean, very strong network, very committed to justice and accountability, reparation and non-repetition, countering impunity, and countering also hate speech in the region. They have worked largely and extensively with victims of atrocities and of the dictatorships that happen in the region, and that's a main focus that they have. And at the moment, they are undergoing also, so there's 2 projects, one is which is a bit of an internal revision because they're reviewing their strategic plan for starting next year for another 4 years. And they have undergone some internal assessments and identified that in terms of memory work, not only within members, but obviously in the region as a whole, there's a very underrepresentation of Afro-descendants and original people's narratives in terms of all the types of histories and even the histories of human rights violations being told in the region. So they are doing a big effort in terms of organizing themselves to start addressing those gaps. And the project that is happening also in 2022 is members are coming together to support a Mexican member called Circular de Morelia. They are responsible for implementing the memory aspects, the memory and documentation aspect of the Mexican Truth Commission. Because they are a part of the Ministry of Human Rights in Mexico. So they have reached out to the network, as many members in the Latin American network have extensive experience of civil society organizations in documenting stories of victims and then providing them as documentation and as documents and as proof and evidence in terms of transitional justice processes and truth commissions. So the network is coming together and building capacity building sessions for the member, for Circular de Morelia, but also for all the Mexican members and local CSOs who will be involved in this documentation to support the Truth Commission in Mexico. So they're building capacity of these organizations on how to do that work. And also working with Circular de Morelia to write a law of memory to Mexico, which is the legacy of the Truth Commission when it ends in 2023. So as a network, we're all coming together to support Morelia in doing that process, as providing a technical consultancy to them and helping them do this work. So I think these are the main projects. Justine, I think you want to talk about the levels of support.
Yeah, so the Global Networks Department supports the members at the global level, at the regional level, and also at the individual level. So we support a range of activities designed to increase members' capacity to use the past to engage communities in addressing urgent social justice issues. So at the global level, we organize summits, conferences on the most pressing social and human rights issues. And we connect best practices and develop global projects. We also foster close regional exchange and collaboration, and we work thematically through thematic networks such as the Migration Museums Network that JJ will be presenting in a few minutes. At the regional level, we provide opportunities for members to come together, to coordinate their efforts, and we build the capacity of emerging initiative in each region. We also organize joint projects, workshops, advocacy campaigns, and other activities. And we provide opportunity to share methodologies and best practices within the region. At the individual level, we guide members to put the sites of conscience methodology into action in their communities. And we provide personalized programmatic, technical, and financial support to the members. We also work with some members that have specific needs and project ideas to design special projects like Maison des Esclaves in Senegal that Linda will be presenting, and another special project that I can mention is a project on hate speech, disinformation, and inclusive discourse that we will be implementing in partnership with a Turkish member, the Randing Foundation, that is based in Istanbul. And we will be working with them on this project to raise awareness about hate speech, raise the capacity of members to monitor hate speech and disinformation, and to develop an inclusive discourse. So this is in a nutshell what we do as the Global Networks Department. So I will briefly mention the upcoming regional meetings that we're gonna have this year. So as I mentioned, we just had the European regional meeting in Northern Ireland in Derry last week. The next meeting is in Istanbul. It will be the regional meeting for the Middle East network. We will then, so it will be end of July. We will then have end of August, beginning of September, the African network meeting in Conakry. And then the Asia and the Pacific network meeting in Indonesia. And the last one will be, I think, the Latin American, the Caribbean network that will be held in Mexico. So these meetings are in person and I'm hybrid. Some participants are coming and being in person, and others are joining online.
Thank you, Justine. So in terms of thematic networks, Justine was mentioning, I also have been coordinating for the last year and a half the Migration Museums Network. It's a network of 25 museums actually now, around most regions of the world. They are specifically museums dealing with migration, with a focus specific on migration. And this is a network that came together to discuss the issues affecting museums dealing with migration or immigration around the world, and how they could come together to foster best practice, to influence policy, and to understand how to best serve the communities that they work with. It's also a very dynamic network. We are developing we are deeply involved in the putting together the program of a meeting that we're going to have in Paris in October as a network. We're going to be working together with the Musée National d'Histoire de l'Immigration in Paris, in a symposium that they are putting together also to discuss the movement, the growing movement of immigration museums, and how can we discuss moving forward, what are the questions that we need to ask, what are the challenges, and what are the best practices that we can recommend. And we're also working on a Creative Europe proposal for the end of the year for a project for the entire network to work from Europe and globally on a 3-year project. So that's where we are also with the Migration Museums Network. And now, Linda, back to you.
Thanks, JJ. So methodology and practice is a bit of a two-headed animal. One part of it is we are the training and capacity building part of the coalition, which means we do all these kinds of activities: interpretive planning, dialogic interpretation, DEAI training, strategic planning, exhibit. We do all these different things in different kinds of ways. You can always, as a member, just give us a quick call and we're happy to chat. If you're interested in deeper kinds of engagement with the work we do, this is essentially a fee-based program with a deep discount for members. So next slide, Camila. But we also manage the North American Regional Network, which is actually the largest network with more than, I think, 125 members. And there have been some really interesting special projects within that. You know, on the right-hand side is a project from a federally funded grant that we worked with 10 of our members in training and then developing projects that specifically addressed issues in communities that were really impacted by the pandemic. And the Baltimore Museum of Industry did this amazing project of interviewing and working with school lunch workers who during the pandemic were incredible. They kept working, they kept feeding kids even when kids weren't coming to school. And so to draw attention to this group was really amazing. In the center is a design for a public memorial in Tulsa, Oklahoma, about the indigenous history of the region. It's a project we did last year. As all of you know, the conversation around memorials is heated everywhere. And this was a really interesting project in terms of working with indigenous communities about how they would like their past and present to, you know, to be addressed. And at the left-hand side is actually just one of our members who I always consider to be the most generous member in terms of sharing information and approaches. which is the Eastern State Penitentiary in Philadelphia, who has specifically designed, as you could see, a dialogic exhibition. Next slide. And I thought I should share a little bit when we say training and consulting, people often ask what that means. So here's a couple examples from things we've done literally in the last 6 months, I think all of these. A series of workshops in the Czech Republic about difficult histories and how to think about them. Exhibit consulting to review an exhibition script about climate change. Facilitating with that typo. Organizational change at the National Gallery of Art, particularly in thinking about some upcoming exhibits there. Dialogue training at the California parks, and developing educational materials to accompany a documentary on Harriet Tubman. So it's quite a variety of work we do. Okay, next, Camilla, thanks. I also want to highlight our new and emerging partnership with Newcastle University. Right now, there are 2 specific elements. There will continue to be more. One is a series about professional practice for faculty and emerging scholars at Newcastle. Newcastle has supported 15 internships, virtual and in-person, with member sites this summer in all of the regions. It's very exciting. We anticipate that this will be a continuing project. So as we move forward in the coming years, hopefully all of you will have a chance to participate as well. Next slide, Camilla. This is a new project of the methodology and practice, working in collaboration with the Global Initiative for Truth, Justice, and Reconciliation. It began, we think about transitional justice in a lot of places that are not the United States, but this began as a pilot project pairing sites with transitional justice experience with US sites wanting to launch projects. We have just launched, I think last week, the podcast series, pairing members and providing an introduction to transitional justice. And we're now exploring how to expand that to, additional partners and funders. Thanks, Ashley, for sharing the TJ podcast links. Next slide. Okay, so we wanted to talk a little bit about how we've told you a lot about what we do, and I'm sure you're possibly overwhelmed at this point, but to talk about some of the ways you can activate your membership. You can attend or listen to a webinar. We produce a lot of webinars, as you may have noticed. They're all recorded and available on our website, so freely available. So we encourage you to either come to one or listen to it afterwards. Talk to other participating members. If you have a problem you want to know if someone else has pursued it, reach out to us and we will always connect you with people. Participate in a regional project. JJ and Justine talked about a couple. There's some in the US as well. We're always looking for participants in those, and apply for small grants when available. Our project support grants are not available this year, but there are other things such as the internships, such as some small grants related to other kinds of work we're doing. So always keep an eye on those. We always let you know about those. Next slide. JJ, can you do this one?
Yeah, of course. So we also believe that we learn and share, right? So that's a big part of what we do, is learning with each other. So there are many resources and ways in which you can learn and share, like utilize a toolkit, a dialogue guide, or read articles from the resource center. Our resource center is really rich in information, because most of the projects that are done have a report that goes there. So it's really interesting to spend some time going through it. Share those resources with your colleague. One thing that we know, we end up having like 1 or 2 contact points in each organization, but we know that the organization is so much bigger. So we are very happy for you to share the credentials, access to the resource center with your other colleagues in your organization. It's for the benefit of the most people possible would be best. and ask a Sites of Conscience team and your fellow members for guidance in any aspect of your work. I mean, we have a very diverse pool of expertise amongst ourselves, and we never, not to mention our members. So we will either be able to help you or connect you with some other person in the staff who can help you, or even with a member that we know that will have maybe outstanding expertise in that topic, and we can connect you. So we believe in connections. We are a network of active connecting. So between us and you and between members, it's a very important thing for us that we share and spread the knowledge and expertise that we have.
One of the things, and it goes along with learning and sharing, is connecting. Ask for an introduction. Follow us and other members on social media, which our communications team will talk about in a minute. Next slide. Justine, can you do this one?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, so one of the important aspects of our work also is to support our members to advocate in their context, and also to amplify the advocacy campaign by sharing and using the power of our collective voice. So there have been a few examples over the last months, also on how we have been, reaching out to our members to support effort that has been done at the national level. Some of our members are working in very difficult contexts, whether in Africa, in the MENA region, but also in Europe recently. So we use the power of this collective voice to amplify this work and to have a real impact on the ground.
Thanks, Justine. And Camilla, can you back up to that slide for a minute? I just want to explain the slide a little bit. We were the global programs team and our transitional justice team. We're a part of a lot of people who work to get our only Afghan member and the entire team and their families out of Afghanistan. And this is a photo of some of that team and their families as they arrived safely in Canada last fall. So advocacy, which included a letter signed by more than 150 or so of our members, really makes a difference in all kinds of situations. Next slide. And lead and inspire. You can join a regional steering committee or host a regional meeting. We'll probably come find you sooner or later and ask you to share your work in a webinar or a Facebook Live. And that it's great when you share the work we do, the kinds of work that other members do with other organizations you know. Our network really grows from the way our members share the work and the connections of the coalition. So spreading the word and leading and inspiring is a really important part of it. Next slide. Ashley, do you want to do strategic planning?
Sure, I'm happy to. So every 3 years, the coalition updates its strategic plan, which is available online. I'll put it in the chat box after this. We are currently in the process of updating. Generally, this involves a large member survey, which this year went out in March and April, sorry. And then those are followed up by focus groups we do with small groups of members. And what we want to know is what works and what doesn't as a member, and what we can do better, and how we can support members' needs. So we really pay a lot of attention to the surveys and the focus groups. And from that, we get together as a team and we revise our strategic plan. So currently, we've already made edits to the strategic plan. using the survey and the focus groups as a guide, and those updates are now with our board for review. So once they are finalized, most likely in September, we can share that with members. But it's all to say that our members are the heart of this network, and their feelings and their thoughts on their priorities matter to us, and we really try to reflect that in our work plans and our strategic goals. So I think I'll leave it at that.
Thanks, Ashley. And our next slide is you or Camilla.
Wonderful. I'll just talk a little bit and then I'll hand it off to Camilla. Again, everyone, I'm the communications director. I've been here 6.5 years. I love the coalition. And again, I love my job because I get to work with all of you. So communications, we handle a lot of things. If you have questions about our website or our social media, always reach out to Camilla or myself. We are on the website and as our emails. Communications interacts with members in many ways. As mentioned, we often help with advocacy campaigns. In the last year or two, I would say there's been a big uptick in the number of at-risk members. So we have helped members in Haiti, the United States, Afghanistan, Russia, Ukraine, with a lot of internal or external challenges they're facing. Perhaps, we had some Russian members being shut down by the government there. So we helped amplify that situation. And, Linda mentioned Afghanistan. So we are very active in that. So if you run into a problem, you can always reach out to us and see if we can help. We're also available for any advice related to press relations. Or say you want to learn how to do a podcast. We just did our first podcast, as was mentioned. We're happy to help either connect you with people or share our own expertise. We also do a lot of training in advocacy, in media and security, media and transitional justice. So we have, as JJ mentioned, either we have expertise in-house or we can certainly connect you with people who have probably struggled with what you're going through and come up with some good strategies that they can share. We are also always interested in if you have an issue at your site and you would like to write an op-ed about it or to publicize it somehow, you could reach out to us and we can try and help you do that or maybe collaborate. Most importantly, we want to promote your work. So we are always eager to hear what you're doing. I'm going to hand this part off to Camilla, who is our social media guru and knows everything about it, but she can give you tips on how to engage with us and how to help us promote your work.
Thank you so much, Ashley, and thank you everyone for being here again. So as Ashley was mentioning, we're super happy to always promote the different exhibits, projects. If you have an event coming up, we are more than happy again to put that on our different social media channels. We are on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We're also on LinkedIn, and in different occasions we also put your work on our website under the different regional pages or as part of our blogs. So if you have an upcoming event or if you are posting an advocacy campaign from your own site on different social media channels, you can tag us using the handles that you can see on this slide, or you can just reach out to Ashley and I, and we can make sure that we are on top of that, checking your accounts as well and sharing that on our different platforms. As it was mentioned before, we usually have advocacy campaigns, regional campaigns, or thematic campaigns. So if you are interested in something and you see that an observing state is coming up, you can also reach out to us, let us know if you are interested in participating, and we'll be more than happy to work with you on that. And here There you go. Here are our contacts. Ashley and I will be super, super happy to receive an email from you. And I guess I'll pass it on to Linda again.
Thanks, Camilla. Just a reminder, here's how you can find all of us. You heard communications before. Here's methodology and practice in global networks as well. And I particularly want to shout out Estefania as the person who shepherds both your membership and your eventual renewal through the process, because she has taken that on and is doing a great job. So you'll, as you mentioned, periodically be hearing from her, as well as you're going to be hearing from everyone else. A quick time for questions. I know there's only 2 of you, and I know we have given you a huge amount of information. Francois or Aaron, any questions for us about anything?
This is Erin. Oh, and I don't have any right now. This is getting my wheels turning, especially when it comes to like the different training opportunities. So I'm sure you'll be hearing from us.
Terrific. I just did training last week at a National Park Service site. So I'm all about thinking about the Park Service at the moment. Great. And it's great. It's stimulating ways to think about things. Any other questions?
Yeah, I think it's the same for me, I have to say. My one practical question is about listing us on what we need to send you to be a member listed as a member on the website.
I'll reach out to you. I can reach out to you and we'll get that all set up.
Okay, brilliant. It's just really helpful with the connections. I think that's going to be a key thing for us. And also I think with connecting with JJ at some point over the migration network as well. So really keen to
I'll reach out to you
with that. So yeah, brilliant. Thanks so much. It's been a really useful session.
Thank you.
Great. Any other questions, anybody, or any other final thoughts from any of the Sites of Conscience team? Okay. I want to thank everybody for coming. It was great to have you all here. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.